Good afternoon, everybody. It's Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting coming to you with a news alert. President Trump has named a 2020 campaign manager. Yes, it is only 2018, but President Trump is already preparing for 2020, and he has named a campaign manager. That campaign manager is Brad Parscale. It's an interesting choice. Brad Parscale ran President Trump's digital operations for the 2016 campaign. He was the guy in charge of all the digital advertising. He is seen as playing a key role in President Trump's victory in 2016. He really emphasized targeted advertising on Facebook and President Trump's Twitter presence, so really emphasized Twitter and Facebook, and it really emphasized micro-targeting on Facebook, picking out particular voters in particular, not even just states, but towns in certain areas and voters with certain characteristics in certain key states. And also, he's known for, using digital tools, digital advertising tools. Like on Facebook, you can test out different ads and see which colors work better or which topics work better. And he is seen as being kind of a pioneer in using that in presidential campaigns. So he will be the campaign manager. He's not just going to be the digital operations manager. He's going to run the entire campaign. So very interesting choice, Brad Parscale. We want to talk a little bit about, he has a very interesting backstory, which I'm going to read about in a second here and tell you a little more about here. But we want to get your comments on this as well. So if you have comments, you can write to me on Twitter. I am at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. We're going to take your comments in a few minutes on President Trump's choice for campaign manager in 2020. And I want to say thank you. Roger Vega, Barbara Braley, and JC are all in the chat room moderating. Thank you all. And Common Sense and Gleno on the website. So let me first show you. This was the official announcement today from the Trump-Pence campaign. This came out today. President Trump announces 2020 campaign manager. Oh, I forgot to check the audio. Let me make sure you can hear me. Vega, Barbara Braille. Good, you can hear me okay. It says, today President Trump announced the appointment of Brad Parscale as the campaign manager for his re-election committee as the advanced planning for the 2020 race begins. Mr. Pascale is a longtime digital marketing strategist for President Trump, first with the Trump Organization and then with the successful 2016 presidential campaign, who has continued to lead digital strategies for the campaign and Republican National Committee. In addition to focusing on building its infrastructure for the 2020 race, the Trump campaign will be engaged in the 2018 midterm elections this year, providing candidates with general support, endorsements, and rallying the support of the political grassroots by engaging Trump supporters in districts and states. And then there's a quote here from Eric Trump, and it says, Eric Trump said, Brad is an amazing talent and was pivotal to our success in 2016. He has our family's complete trust, and he's the perfect person to be at the helm of our campaign. Jared Kushner said Brad was essential in bringing a disciplined technology and data-driven approach to how the 2016 campaign was run. His leadership and expertise will help build a best-in-class campaign. I want to tell you a little bit more about Brad Parscale's backstory, and let me see if I can find it. You know, there was a 60-minute story on Brad Parscale. You can actually watch it if you Google this. This is a 60-minute site, and you can go and just watch the story on him. It's about 15 minutes long, but they have the whole transcript here too. So Facebook embeds Russia and the Trump campaign's secret weapon. This is Brad Parscale, who's going to be the campaign manager in 2020. But they have some neat. Let me see if I can find the part in here where it talks about his background. So here, check this out. This is how he got started. So again, this is from the 60-minute story. I'm right here. He grew up in Topeka, Kansas, playing basketball. He's 6'8". After briefly working at a tech company in California, he moved to San Antonio, Texas, and became a marketer. He taught himself to code, opened a small web design business, and went looking for customers. How did he look for customers? Well, he says, I started tapping shoulders at a bookstore, asking people if they needed a website when they were buying books on web design. Leslie Stahl says, yeah, but what? You're hanging around at a bookstore? And Brad Parscale says, yes, a Borders. So basically, he went to Borders bookstore and he went to the web design section. And when he saw people looking up books on web design, he basically went up to them and said, hey, I'm a web designer. Do you want me to design your website for you? That's how he was a way he drummed up business when he was starting out as a web designer. And then Leslie Stahl says to him, so how did you get involved with the Trump people? And he says, I was sitting at IHOP and I got an email. I was eating a ham and cheese omelet. I get an email and I open it up and it says, this is Kathy Kay from the Trump organization. Can you please call me? That's it. And she says Leslie Stahl says out of nowhere, and Brad Parscale says out of nowhere. And Brad Parscale says 6 years ago, so I guess now that's about 7 years ago. She was looking for someone to design a website for a Trump real estate project. Parscale, this is what 60 Minutes says. Parscale bid the lowest. He got the job, and soon many more followed. Websites for Eric's Foundation, Melania's skincare line, the family's wineries. Then in early 2015 came another life-changing email. Brad Parscale says, the email said, Donald Trump is thinking about running for president. We need a website in 2 days. So I wrote back, yeah, I'll do it for $1,500. Leslie Stahl says, $1,500? Brad Parscale says, yeah, and by the end it was $94 million. $94 million is what his company was paid by the campaign. Much of it was spent on things like buying ads. So again, Brad Parscale, to repeat his story, he was a self-taught web designer. Started his own company. To get customers, he would go to Borders bookstore, stand around in the web design section, and when people started looking at web design books, he would walk up to them and ask if they needed a website design. And then he got his start with the Trump organization because he got an email from somebody who worked there asking for someone to design a website for a Trump real estate project. So he bid the lowest and he got that job, and he designed this website for a Trump real estate project, and they liked it. So he ended up doing more work for them. He designed Eric's Foundation's website, Eric Trump's foundation, Melania's skincare line website, the family's winery website. I read he also did web stuff for Ivanka for her clothing line. So he did a lot of work for the Trump family on websites, and they really liked it. And then finally in 2015, they sent an email saying, do you want to bid on to design the website for the campaign? And he bid low and he got it. So, and now he's going to be the campaign manager in 2020. I also want to show you, there's another interesting part of this 60 Minutes article where it talks, a 60 Minutes story, which is we're reading the transcript of it, where it talks about the special techniques he used with Facebook to target the ads. So let me get to that. That's quite interesting. Here's one part of it. No, that's not the part. Here, where is it? I keep finding this one other part that I don't want. I want the part that I want. Here we go. I got it. This is quite interesting, if you haven't seen it. So again, this is a 60-minute story about Brad Parscale. And indeed, both campaigns used Facebook's technology extensively to reach out to potential voters. Parscale said the Trump campaign used the technology to micro-target on a scale never seen before and to customize their ads for individual voters. Brad Parscale: we were making hundreds of thousands of them. Leslie Stahl: you make 100,000 ads. Brad Parscale: programmatically in one day. Leslie Stahl: so 100,000 different ads every day? Brad Parscale: average day, 50 to 60,000 ads. So here's an example of some different ads with like similar pictures, but they vary the ads, and you'll see the explanation here. This was all automated. Brad Parscale: changing language, words, colors, changing things because certain people like a green button better than a blue button. Some people like the word donate or contribute. Leslie Stahl: so how would you know, let's say I like a green button. How do you know I'd only like a green button? Brad Parscale. Because I'd give you the red, blue buttons, you never click on them. Parscale showed us how they tested by sending out multiple versions of the same ad with only subtle differences. Brad Parscale. Here we have an American flag. Here we have a face of Hillary. Different colors, the blues, different messages above. Leslie Stahl. So you'd send out 2 identical ads with different colors? Brad Parscale. Maybe thousands. Leslie Stahl. You'd send thousands of ads with different colors. Brad Parscale. Different colors. What it is what can make people react? What catches their attention? Remember, there's so much noise on your phone, or on your desktop. What is it that makes it go, poof, I'm going to stop and look? So this is an example from the story of similar campaign ads with similar appearances but different messages. So maybe they figured out that people like the appearance of this ad. Brad Parscale says, 60 Minutes says, to get people to stop and look, Parscale crafted different messages for different people so that you only got ads about the issues you cared about most. He showed us 3 ads that looked alike. And these are the 3 ads here. Parscale says, he says of these ads, hang on, it's pretty much identical design, positive coloring, different message. This, Leslie Stahl, this one is tax, this one is childcare, this one is energy. Brad Parscale. They were all targeted to different users of whatever platform. In this case, it was Facebook. Sent out to different people, and it could be each other's next door neighbors, all in Ohio. Leslie Stahl. So this one person at 11 Elm Street gets this one, and 13 Elm Street gets that one. Brad Parscale. Yep. So they really, he really emphasized, Brad Parscale, when he was working for the Trump campaign. He emphasized targeting ads very specifically, and he used these tools that Facebook, for example, had, which allowed him to create lots of different ads, thousands of versions of ads, and see how they were doing, and adjust the ads very subtly so that they could do better, and also to target very specific groups of people. So I think there's one part where he said, like, if I wanted to target 15 people, I could. Hang on, let me see if I can find that here. Well, maybe I won't be able to find it. Oh, here it is. I got it. Here's what he says. He says, so Facebook now lets you get to places possibly that you would never go with TV ads. Now I can find, 15 people in the Florida Panhandle that I would never buy a TV commercial for. And we took opportunities that I think the other side didn't. And he talks about how Facebook offered to have employees come into the campaign and help show them how the system worked, how the advertising targeting system worked, and help them figure out how to best use it. And he said they took advantage of that, and that the Clinton campaign rejected the offer from Facebook and didn't want the Facebook employees to come in and help show them how to use it. He also says when the Facebook employees came in to help the campaign made sure they were conservative. He says that in the interview as well. So Brad Parscale, he was the digital operations manager, really in charge of the advertising, the digital advertising, the Twitter presence for President Trump in the campaign. And he became one of President Trump's, in his close circle, one of the close circle of advisors in the campaign. But very interestingly, this person, Brad Parscale, whose, specialty originally was digital operations, is now going to be the campaign manager. Deciding on all kinds of things in the campaign, not just Twitter and advertising, but appearances, different speeches President Trump might make, different policies he might emphasize. So that's Brad Parscale is going to be the campaign manager. What do you think about this? Give me a shout. I want to hear feedback from you guys. Do you like this choice of Brad Parscale as campaign manager for 2020? Write to me on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. Let me know what you think. And also, if you like our coverage, if you like that we're doing a story on this, feel free to consider donating, because we rely on you to stay on the air. We can't stay on the air without your support. If you want to support Right Side Broadcasting, maybe I should say contribute rather than donate, because as Brad Parscale says, some people like the word contribute more. Anyways, if you want to donate or contribute to Right Side Broadcasting, go to the bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the $sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Let me see if there are any messages from you. Bicky writes in, I think this is a good point, Bicky. I was wondering about this before. Bicky says, I hope Brad didn't give out too much information that others can copy him now. So, as I had watched this story months ago and I was reading over the 60 Minutes transcript this morning, and I was thinking to myself the exact same thing. I was thinking like, I wonder if by doing this interview and talking about his strategies, does that help like the Democratic campaign in 2020? Now, I guess, one thought would be here is that he's not really giving you very specific strategies. Like he's basically saying, look, we used Facebook tools to micro-target people and we, altered the colors and the words and stuff like that. Maybe he just thinks, look, anyone who knows about digital advertising being used in politics, a specialist in that, is going to know what we did generally. So I'm guessing that kind of level of revelation, saying, hey, we targeted ads, and we kind of we sent out a lot of different versions of ads. I'm guessing he might say, well, the Democrats are going to know we did that anyway. So maybe he would just say, we're not giving away that much in this interview because it's something that people already know. Now, there's another line of thought that says that says, well, maybe it is valuable information, but he at the time didn't know he was going to be the campaign manager for President Trump. So, and 60 Minutes was doing a story on him, and he wanted to genuinely talk about some of the cool things he and his company had done. So, it's a good question. Linda Belk writes in, I love an entrepreneurial success story, and this Parscale guy has a great one. This is what America is all about. And I love that Trump recognizes this and recognizes his expertise. Great choice. So Linda, one thing I want to focus on in your comment, thank you for the comment, is you're saying Trump recognizes this. It is interesting, it's President Trump does sometimes take people without much, traditional big corporate experience or lots of experience, in big companies or that are well known for doing something, and he promotes them. So, for example, Hope Hicks is not somebody with a lot of experience, but he's one of President Trump's closest advisors. And then Brad Parscale, he created his own company, and he certainly didn't have a big company before the Trump organization started hiring him. And in this case, it seemed to work well for President Trump that he brought in somebody without, a huge resume and trusted him and liked what he did. Now, some people might criticize that aspect of President Trump and say he brings in someone like, say, Hope Hicks, who should be more experienced in the jobs she's doing, but she's not. So different people have different opinions on this, but that's a good, it's a good point you make about President Trump's hiring, is that sometimes he will put people in important positions who don't have like the traditional, long, successful resumes. Anthony writes, Trump's pick of Parscale is brilliant. Let's see here. President Trump has just secured a huge re-election win. I wonder what role Kellyanne Conway will play. She is a brilliant mind, and as well, that will be key. David Opp says, I believe he filed for re-election on his first day in office so he could raise money legally for re-election. I have read something about, by the way, so supposedly President Trump might at some point soon officially announce he's running, which he had, there's been no official announcement from President Trump, so maybe there'll be some sort of official announcement he's running. But there was paperwork filed earlier. I read something about this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And that might have been, as you say, David, for like legal reasons. So Matt Weiser of the Boston Globe posted this at 5:11 p.m. on January 20th, 2017, about 5 hours after being sworn in. President Trump filed paperwork with the FEC stating that he was filing for a 2020 re-election campaign account. Now, that doesn't commit him to running, obviously. And so perhaps, David, you think that's because so he could raise money legally for it. I'm not familiar with all of the financial ramifications of that, but thank you for writing in. Hey, we got a donation from Are You Handy? Thank you, Are You Handy. Very nice of you. We appreciate it. Are You Handy? Did you donate because I used the word contribute instead of donate? Thank you. Rocky Sanchez writes in, wise move for Trump to name Parscale as campaign manager for 2020 again. However, the manner in which YouTube, Twitter, and Google are censoring people right now, it will be interesting to see what strategy he will use for the 2020 campaign to get Trump's message out there. Interesting point, Rocky. So you think, will there be YouTube, Twitter, and Google, and maybe Facebook, any kind of censoring of President Trump supporters or advertisements or anything like that? Good question. SoCal Boho Gal writes, Brad Parscale is an intelligent guy. I like him, and from your description, he's a really smart guy, smarter than drag and drop taught at universities. That is very limiting. Lynn Jean says, I am disgusted with Parscale and Dan Scavino and ultimately President Trump for never recognizing RSBN for all that they did with the help of forgotten men and women who contributed. 94 million? Really? Shame. Now, I will say we have gotten thanked, definitely, by the Trump campaign. So now, I don't think President Trump has ever, like in a rally, said, thank you, Right Side Broadcasting. But to be clear, Lynn Jean, they have thanked us for what we have done. So we don't want to say they haven't thanked us. But maybe you think that it's not enough. So I'll leave that to you. But they have said they appreciated what we did for them. But I think a lot of you know that, Right Side Broadcasting was the only one showing President Trump's rallies during the campaign. It was the only place you could go and see the full rally and all the speakers that would show the crowd. It was Right Side Broadcasting was the place to go, and hundreds of millions of people watched Right Side Broadcasting's coverage of the campaign rallies during the campaign. Thank you for writing in, Lynn Jean. Pascale writes, I hope that the president and the campaign of 2020 do not heavily rely on digital campaigning. Remember, the Clintons campaign did just that without reaching out to the people in person, and it turned out very bad. So you're saying, Pascale, it sounds like you're saying you think it's also important that President Trump reached out to the people. Now, President Trump, it's a good point because you see, if you read articles about Parscale, you'll see comments like, well, a big part of the President Trump campaign was using these new tools of Facebook and Twitter and stuff. But you might forget that something else he did a lot is he did all those rallies. He did tons of rallies, often multiple rallies in a day where he spoke to tens of thousands of Americans in person. That certainly isn't something that Hillary Clinton was doing. She was not doing nearly as many campaign events with that many people as President Trump. So you're saying, hey, don't put all your eggs in one basket, Trump campaign. Don't forget that reaching out to and connecting with the people in person is important too. Now it'll be interesting for the campaign because when it's 2020, he'll be president. He won't just be a candidate. So when he's running in 2020, I don't know if he'll be able to do like 3 campaign rallies in one day because that would kind of take up all his time. So now maybe he will. I mean, he can work in between, but I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see like as many campaign rallies just because think about it. He's president. Back then he was a full-time candidate. But I'm guessing we will see campaign rallies. Thank you, Liberty for All, for that link. I will have to check that out a little later. Thank you for sending it. SoCal Boho Gal said, the DNC did research with panels of people in much a similar way and targeted ads too. This guy just did a far better job at getting people to look and read. Hashtag not a Russian bot, LOL. I like this guy, smart. Okay, so we're going to, by the way, we have coverage of the White House press briefing at 2 p.m. today. We will cover that, and then I will be on for the post show, so tune into that. Don't forget, subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube and click the notifications bell to know when we're coming on the air with these live broadcasts. You can follow us on Facebook at Right Side Broadcasting and on Twitter at RSB Network. And I am on Twitter at Lookner. If you have comments, write to me in air. There, I'm going to give you the last call for comments now because soon I'm going to get off the air, and then we're going to come back on and we're going to show the White House press briefing coverage. But you can follow me for breaking news coverage during the day and night at Lookner on Twitter. Thanks again to our mods. Barbara, Roger Vega, Real Frank, JC, all in the chat room. Thank you. Speaking of chat room, let me just see if there are any comments posted in the Facebook chat right now. Kiki JC says, congrats, Parscale. Pamela Whithelm says, Democrats will accuse this man with Russian ties. Donna Boyd says, Parscale is the IT wizard of the last collection that did reports, charts, etc., directed the path of campaign speeches, etc., collected and compiled data useful to the campaign. Hey, we got a donation, too, from Ron Stahlcup. Thank you, Ron. He said, MAGA 2020. Thank you, Ron. Okay. Whiskey Bay likes my tie. Thank you, Whiskey Bay. All right, I think we're going to wrap up this stream right now. We've gotten to the comments. Just want to give you this updated story about the new campaign manager for President Trump. If we find out if and when President Trump's going to make an official 2020 campaign announcement, we'll let you know. Thank you, people in the chat room, for saying thanks. We got Jerry is there, and... Lynn Jean is in the chat room too. DM says, don't forget Lynn Jean. I don't know has Lynn Jean posted in the chat room. I know she's watching. That's why when I was looking over the chat, I didn't. Oh, there she is. Okay. Lynn Jean's moderating too. Thank you, DM, for reminding me. Thank you to all the people in the YouTube chat and the Facebook chat for watching. P-Cell, thank you. Rocky, thank you. Sheared Wheel. DM, Sephirin. Aaron Cathcart on Facebook, thank you. DM says, thank you, nice uplifting story. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Rooster. Thank you, Joey. Ruth Butler, Jasmine Guthrie, Light Switch, and everybody else there in the chat room. All right, we're going to wrap up the stream for now. Thank you for watching this stream at Right Side Broadcasting. And join us at 2 p.m. for the coverage of the White House press briefing, and I will be on afterwards for the post show where we'll take your comments on the air. For now, I am Steve Lookner. Have a great day, everybody. And thank you again for those of you who donated. We really appreciate that. If you want to donate, we are viewer supported. Your donations keep us on the air. Donate or contribute at Right Side Broadcasting. You can go to the bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the donate on the little dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat room, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. For now, I am Steve Lookner for Right Side Broadcasting. Have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you really soon for our coverage today of the White House press briefing. Thanks for joining us.